In the shadow of Arlington's endless white headstones, tomb guard Marcus Jackson marched his 21 steps, boots clicking like a metronome under the morning sun. No one expected him to falter, not after a decade in the military and 3 years guarding the unknown soldier. But then she appeared, a little girl, frail as a whisper, her bright yellow beanie vivid against her dark skin. The crowd held its breath, sensing something extraordinary. What they didn't know was that this sentinel, bound by rigid tradition, was about to break every rule for a child whose courage rivaled his own. And the moment that followed would leave the nation in tears. Before we dive into this story, where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe values like honor, courage, and sacrifice still matter, join us in keeping their legacy alive. The morning sun hung low over Arlington National Cemetery, painting the rows of white headstones with a soft golden glow. The air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of dew-soaked grass and the distant hum of Washington, D.C. traffic. At the tomb of the unknown soldier, the rhythmic click of boots echoed through the stillness. 21 precise steps, a pause, a sharp pivot, and 21 steps back. Sentinel Marcus Jackson, a 34-year-old black veteran of Afghanistan, stood tall in his immaculate dress blues, his face a mask of discipline beneath the polished brim of his cap. His medals gleamed, each earned through grit and sacrifice, but his eyes, sharp and unyielding, revealed a man who'd seen more than most. For 10 years he'd served his country, and for the last 3, he'd guarded this sacred ground, where the nation's fallen heroes rested in eternal silence. The crowd at the plaza was small but reverent, tourists, veterans, and families paying respects. Whispers floated on the breeze, parents explaining the tomb's significance, kids asking questions, cameras clicking softly. Marcus's training kept him focused, his gaze fixed forward, but his senses were sharp, catching every sound, every movement. He noticed a family approaching through the crowd, a mother and father, their faces tight with quiet worry, and between them, a little girl no older than 9. She wore a green dress and a yellow knit beanie pulled snug over her bald head. Her steps were slow, deliberate, but her eyes sparkled with wonder that cut through the morning's solemnity. That's her, Marcus thought, registering the girl's fragile frame and the way her parents hovered protectively. Her name was Amara Wilson, though he didn't know it yet. She was here through Make-A-Wish, her one dream to see the tomb guard in person. Marcus's ears caught her voice, soft but clear, as she tugged at her father's sleeve. "Daddy, look how straight he stands, just like in the videos." Amara's words carried a brightness that belied her condition. Her father, James, a tall man with the steady hands of a mechanic, smiled down at her. "That's right, sweetheart. The Sentinels are the best of the best. They guard the unknown soldiers to honor everyone who gave their lives for us." Amara nodded, clutching a small notebook where she jotted facts about the tomb guard. 21 steps, Daddy. That's because it's the highest honor, like a 21-gun salute. Did you know that? James chuckled, though his eyes glistened. "You're smarter than me, kiddo. Where'd you learn all this?" "From YouTube," Amara said proudly, "and Nurse Tasha helped me find a book about it at the hospital." Her mother, Nia, a nurse with a warm voice, adjusted Amara's beanie. "Careful, honey. Don't tire yourself out. We've got a big day." The crowd parted slightly as the family moved closer to the viewing area. Marcus's peripheral vision caught Amara's small figure, her green dress catching the sunlight, a tiny pin on her chest reading, "Courageous Heart." He'd seen pins like that before, given by hospital staff to kids fighting battles no child should face. His heart tightened, a faint echo of a memory. His younger cousin, Tiana, who'd battled sickle cell anemia when he was a teen. She hadn't made it. Marcus pushed the thought down, his training keeping his posture rigid, his rifle steady. A murmur rippled through the crowd. An older woman, her hair silver, leaned toward her husband. "Poor thing, that beanie. She must be sick." Her husband, a Gulf War veteran in a faded cap, nodded solemnly. "Reminds me of our niece fought so hard. These kids, they're tougher than we ever were." Nearby, a young boy tugged at his mom's hand. "Mom, why doesn't she have hair?" The mother knelt, her voice soft but clear. Sometimes, buddy, people get sick, and their medicine makes their hair fall out. But she's here smiling, so she's super brave. We need to be extra kind, okay?" The boy nodded, then gave Amara a shy wave. Amara, catching the gesture, waved back, her smile wide enough to light up the plaza. The crowd's mood shifted. Less chatter, more quiet respect. Parents pulled their kids closer, some whispering about courage, others watching Amara with admiration and sorrow. Nia leaned toward James, her voice barely above a whisper. "She's been talking about this for months. The doctors said we should do it now while she's still strong enough." James squeezed her hand, his jaw tight. "She's stronger than all of us, Nia. Look at her." Amara, now just a few feet from the rope barrier, pointed at Marcus. "Mommy, look at his medals. Do you think he got them for being brave?" Nia's voice caught, but she managed a smile. "I bet he did, honey. Just like you're brave every day at the hospital." Amara touched the pin on her dress, her fingers tracing the words, "Courageous heart." "Dr. Ellis said I'm his bravest patient ever. He gave me this after my last treatment." James knelt beside her, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "And he's right, Amara. You're our hero." The sun climbed higher, warming the stone plaza. Marcus's boots clicked with precision. 21 steps, pause, pivot, repeat. His training held him like armor, but Amara's voice pierced through. She was reciting facts from her notebook now, her voice weak but determined. "Did you know the sentinels have to stand guard no matter what? Rain, snow, even hurricanes. They never stop because the unknown soldiers deserve that." A teenage girl nearby, her phone lowered, whispered to her friend, "She's so cute, I hope she's okay." Her friend nodded, wiping her eyes. "She's got more spirit than anyone here." Marcus's chest tightened again. He'd stood guard through blistering heat, freezing rain, and rowdy tourists trying to break his focus. But this small girl with her notebook and unshakable joy was something else. He caught snippets of her parents' conversation, their voices low but clear to his trained ears. "She's been fighting so hard," James was saying to an older couple who'd stopped to talk. "The doctors gave us 6 months, maybe less, but all she wanted was to come here to see the tomb guard." The older woman dabbed her eyes. "God bless her. Our granddaughter went through the same thing. These kids teach us what strength really is." Amara edged closer to the barrier, her steps careful but eager. "Daddy, can I take a picture with him? I promise I'll stay back and follow the rules." James glanced at Nia, who checked her watch with a flicker of worry. "Okay, sweetheart, but don't get too close. The sentinels have important duties, remember?" Amara nodded solemnly. "I know, Daddy. They protect the unknown soldiers and honor everybody who fought for America." She smoothed her dress and adjusted her beanie, trying to stand as straight as Marcus. The effort made her sway slightly, and James's hands shot out to steady her. "Easy, kiddo." Marcus's gaze remained forward, but he could see Amara's reflection in the polished marble of the tomb. She was mimicking his posture, her small shoulders squared despite the tremble in her legs. "Look, Mommy, I'm standing like a sentinel." Nia laughed, though her voice cracked. "You're doing great, honey. You're just as strong as they are." The crowd grew quieter, sensing the weight of the moment. A businessman in a suit lowered his phone, his eyes misty as he whispered to his wife about their own kids. A group of veterans, their caps adorned with pins, stood in respectful silence, hands clasped behind their backs. Amara's voice carried again, soft but clear. "Mommy, did you know the sentinels have to stay still for hours? That's even longer than my chemo sessions." Nia adjusted Amara's beanie, her fingers gentle. "That's right, sweetheart. You're just as tough as they are." A young boy nearby asked his dad, "Why is she so tired if she's just standing there?" The father knelt, his voice low. "She's fighting a big battle, son. Sometimes the bravest people fight wars we can't see. That's why we show them respect." Amara, now closer to the barrier, looked up at Marcus with wide eyes. "Daddy, do I look sentinel straight?" James smiled, though his voice wavered. "You look perfect, Amara. Just like a real soldier." Marcus felt something shift inside him, a crack in the armor of his discipline. He'd faced combat in Afghanistan, carried wounded comrades, and stood guard through every kind of chaos. But this little girl with her notebook and brave smile was testing him in a way he hadn't expected. He remembered Tiana, her laughter, her hospital bed, the way she'd made him promise to be strong for her. His throat tightened, but his training held, until Amara spoke again. "Mommy, I want to be a sentinel someday. I'd stand so tall for the unknown soldiers." The crowd fell silent, the air heavy with unspoken emotion. Nia covered her mouth, tears spilling down her cheeks. James's camera shook as he recorded, his voice barely audible. "You already are, sweetheart. You already are." Marcus's heart pounded beneath his uniform. He could feel the weight of every regulation, every rule that defined the tomb guard. 21 steps, 21 seconds absolute focus, no distractions, no exceptions. But he could also feel something deeper. The duty to honor courage wherever it appeared. And Amara, with her trembling hands and shining eyes, was courage itself. The sun caught the brass buttons on his uniform, casting small circles of light across the plaza. Amara stood as close to the barrier as she dared, her small frame trying to mimic his posture. She whispered to herself, "Just like a real sentinel." Suddenly her legs trembled, the effort of standing too much for her frail body. She swayed and collapsed, her small form crumpling toward the ground. And then Marcus moved. The crowd gasped as he broke formation, his boots clicking sharply as he stepped forward with swift precision. Ignoring every regulation, he reached Amara in an instant, his strong arms catching her before she hit the stone plaza. With the care of a soldier and the gentleness of a brother, he knelt beside her, steadying her fragile frame as her parents rushed forward. The plaza seemed to hold its breath, the only sound the faint rustle of leaves in the breeze. "Hello, Amara," Marcus said, his voice steady but warm, carrying the quiet authority of a man who'd seen war and peace. "I couldn't help but notice you're standing like a true sentinel." Amara's eyes widened, her mouth forming a small O of surprise. You know my name? And you can talk?" Marcus's lips twitched, the faintest hint of a smile. "I heard you out there reciting all those facts. You know more about the tomb than most of us." Amara beamed, her fatigue forgotten for armament. "I studied really hard, sir. I wanted to get it right." "You got it perfect," Marcus said. He reached for his chest, carefully unpinning a small star-shaped badge, a symbol of the tomb guard. "This is for exceptional bravery, Amara, for fighting battles most people can't even imagine." He held out the badge, his white-gloved hand steady. "May I?" Amara nodded, her eyes shining. Marcus carefully pinned the badge to her dress just below her courageous heart pin. "There, now you're an honorary sentinel." Nia sobbed quietly, her hands pressed to her face. James's camera shook, but he kept filming, his voice thick. Thank you, sir." The crowd erupted in soft applause, tears streaming down faces. The young woman wiped her eyes, whispering to her friend, "I'm posting this online. Everyone needs to see this." Amara touched the badge, her fingers trembling. "But don't you need this, sir?" "It's yours." Marcus shook his head, his voice gentle but firm. "You've earned it more than I have, Amara. You're braver than anyone I've ever met." Amara's smile was brighter than the sun. "Can I learn to salute like you?" Marcus nodded, guiding her small hand through the motion. "Keep your elbow tight, chin up, and snap your hand like this. You've got it." Amara tried her salute, wobbly but determined. The crowd watched insolent, some smiling, others crying. When she finally got it right, a cheer went up, and Marcus returned her salute with the crisp precision of a sentinel. "Excellent form. Sentinel Amara," he said, his voice carrying a warmth that broke through his military bearing. Then, in a move that drew another gasp, he opened his arms. "Would you do me the honor?" Amara didn't hesitate. She stepped forward, wrapping her small arms around his broad shoulders. For a moment, they were just a soldier and a little girl, two warriors recognizing each other's battles. The crowd's applause grew louder, a wave of emotion washing over the plaza. When they parted, Amara's eyes were brighter than the badge on her dress. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. "This is the best day ever." Marcus stood, resuming his full height. "Remember, Amara, you're one of us now. Stand tall." "Yes, sir," Amara said, snapping another salute, her small frame trembling with effort but glowing with pride. Marcus returned to his post, his boots clicking back into rhythm. 21 steps, pause, pivot. But something had changed. The crowd could feel it, a shift in the air, a reminder that even in the strictest traditions, there was room for humanity. As Amara and her parents moved back through the crowd, people reached out, some to touch her shoulder, others to offer quiet words of encouragement. A veteran in a wheelchair saluted her, his eyes misty. "You're a hero, kid." The badge on Amara's dress caught the sunlight, a small star shining against the green fabric. Nia hugged her daughter tightly, whispering, "You did it, sweetheart." James, still filming, lowered his camera to wipe his eyes. This is more than we ever dreamed." The story of Amara and Marcus spread like wildfire. By evening, the video was trending on social media, shared with captions like, "A sentinel's heart" and "The bravest little soldier." News outlets picked it up, calling it a moment of pure American spirit. A foundation was later established in Amara's name, raising funds for kids battling cancer, a legacy of her courage. Months later, Marcus stood at his post again, the plaza quiet under a winter sky. He learned that Amara had passed, her battle over, but her smile etched in his memory. In his pocket, he carried her drawing, a sentinel standing before a star, a gift from a warrior who taught him what duty really meant. As the sun set over Arlington, casting long shadows across the headstones, Marcus's steps echoed. 21. Pause. Pivot. But now each step carried a new weight, a reminder that sometimes the greatest honor isn't in following rules, but in listening to your heart. So what would you have done in Marcus's place? When is it right to break tradition for compassion? Share your thoughts, support foundations like Make-A-Wish, and honor the unknown soldiers by remembering the courage all around us. This is a story of duty, heart, and a little girl who became a star. If you enjoyed the story, consider sending a super chat to help bring more stories like this. Now, click on the video on the screen to hear another story that's just as powerful and captivating. With courage, sacrifice, and a choice that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about duty and justice.